lot of engagement in. So that's something we've been actually doing for quite a while, the stand down event. So we were glad that we were able to participate in it again this year. Often it falls during a time when we can't participate, but we were able to do that this year. So we were happy that worked out. All right, so the next thing that I just want to talk about is how the meeting will go today. Of course, this is our Canvas meeting, so this is the meeting where we certify the results for this election. And that is a board duty and a board duty only. So we bring all of the results and audits that we have been doing throughout the election to present to you today for you to go over and look at. So ultimately, that's what we'll be doing and signing something called the abstract cover sheet that certifies the election. But there's a procedure that we go through at this meeting. So the first thing that we will do is open up for the possible hearing for the one challenge that we have. So that is the first thing we'll do. And then Devin will present any manual edits that have to come from that. And you all will be the tally team if we need to do that. Then we'll present the provisional audit, the absentee audit, the early voting audit, and the election day audit. And those will all be by the respective people. So you'll see Justin, Devin, and Bria. Then you'll be able to review all of the materials that are here in front of you. I do want to remind everyone about the privacy piece. So hopefully you were able to review the memorandum from the state board yesterday to help explain those things a little bit more. So you all, the board, will be able to review all of the reports. So you'll be able to see everything, but there is only one report that will be public for this this meeting, and that's the election summary with group detail. So the rest of them cannot be shown publicly.
Explain that to her.
So the reason for some of the results not being public this time is that the turnout for the election was so small that when we divide things into the different categories, absentee by mail, provisionals, election day, all 80 precincts, it can reveal voters' votes, like how they voted. And we're required by law to protect that privacy. And so that's why those results can't be released publicly. Once you have reviewed all the materials and are satisfied with the audit, then we move to certifying. So Bria and Devin will print the reports and the cover letters that go along with that. The board will move to certify if they feel fit, and then I will notarize the abstract and we will celebrate. Are there any questions about the flow today?
Sounds good. We did do this recently.
Yes, we did this recently. So the first thing that we'll do today is have Devin present on the challenge.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Whitney.
So as you all know, a letter was sent out because we had a voter who passed away before Election Day that voted absentee by mail. We did send a letter to the address on the voter's registration notifying them of the challenge. I've not received anything back. So this would be the point where we need a hearing.
So, and I wouldn't say the voter's name, just ask if there's anyone here to.
Is there anyone in attendance at the meeting today to challenge this challenge? We don't see anyone, and I think we can proceed. Thank you, Mr.
All right.
Whitney.
Now would be the time that I'd present anything that needs a manual edit, like if a provisional went through a DS200 on election day and we were able to retrieve it, or for situations like this. And to tally any of those manual edits on paper, which would normally be handed off to duplication team, but not today.
Fair enough.
It's 2 races, so I think we can knock that out with y'all. I have the manual edit log. This one will not show up on there. It doesn't show up. The day for absentee was rescanned. We were not able to do the manual edits. The computer would not accept it. Catawba County ran into the same thing as well. So,
Is this something unusual? What?
not really.
Yep, so remember that we and Catawba County are the counties that upgraded to the new electionware. And so, so this is a
Blip.
yep, in that.
So this would be, there'll be feedback about this, and there'll be some
Yeah.
shift of a change about
Yes,
this
is
on
going to
there.
have to fix it.
And real slow for Uncle Dudley. What was the glitch? How did you encounter it? What did you do about it?
There is a process in there in which you can add and subtract votes through a manual edit process. So, and subtract a ballot. Like in this case, we'd subtract one piece of paper from that precinct for that group, which is absentee by mail. It wasn't accepting that, so when we would try to deduct,
And subtracting votes after the
The initial count.
after the initial after the count is
Yes.
completed and submitted to through the electionware to the nice people in Raleigh.
yes. And it was not subtracting votes, it was actually adding them.
Great.
Well, adding the total number of ballots, not votes.
It would subtract votes, but it would only add to ballots cast.
So pieces of paper. There's 2 different counts. It counts all the votes, and it also counts the number of paper
Got it.
that goes through. So it wasn't subtracting from that. It was, no matter what, it was adding.
So, just so I'm clear, and I may be behind everybody else on this, but you have a system which counts the number of ballots that go out, including absentee ballots, right?
That go out, yes.
And then when that absentee ballot came back, we had looked at that, set it for a challenge hearing today. That ballot was never counted.
No, the ballot was.
Was counted.
Yeah,
So
on
the problem,
16th.
the problem was you can't subtract that out through the system, so you'll have to make an edit that goes to Raleigh today or soon.
No, well, an edit to, yes, the day was rescanned to
Okay.
subtract without the absentee ballot
I see.
in order to just do it that way, because,
So you're going to subtract the ballot and the vote.
yes,
And the problem was it wouldn't do both.
correct.
And so rather doing it in the fashion that staff is accustomed to doing it,
Right, the manual.
they simply re-ran the absentee ballots for that day. And that
Without-
took care of the problem because that one ballot was pulled. I am grateful, again, for a second primary, because it gave us an opportunity to identify this bug
Right.
before the general election. And finding it now is a whole lot better for us all than getting a surprise in the fall.
And by us all, it's more people because other counties are going to upgrade between now and the general, and so it will help them too.
So we'll get a report back when this is remedied in the software?
We did not have this issue in the primary.
Right.
It's specific to the second primary. So hopefully
Interesting.
they're aware of it now and they will correct it before the general election.
What does that mean? If it's a bug in the computer system, why wouldn't it have happened in the first primary?
They're,
day, too?
they're thinking it's having to do when there's one party.
Okay.
So
Right.
it's it's
That's the
another.
only difference between the first and the second
Well,
primary.
programming errors can be tiny and hidden, and
Significant.
they only show up in certain circumstances.
Got it.
And it showed up in this circumstance.
It sure did. All right, thank you, Mr. Whitney. I would entertain a motion to uphold the challenge of the absentee ballot that was cast by a member of the community who died before Election Day. Thank you, Ms. Brain. The motion before the board is to accept the challenge of the absentee ballot of the deceased voter. All those in favor of the challenge, of supporting the challenge, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you. The motion carries 5-0. We appreciate it, Mr. Whitney.
And here's a tally sheet for marking the 2 races that we're on and for what would be deducted. And tally sheet's on top. There's also a copy of the manual edit log underneath it, which has nothing on it.
So this is how we record changes that happen after they have been approved. That's why it's important that we do this step, even though we scanned them instead of doing manual edits.
It's also a requirement in the law to have this tally sheet.
Yeah, because everything has to be documented.
So, this one, they added this because it didn't understand.
Okay, so we need to go ahead and mark this.
I'd like to see it too.
I think they're gonna mark it.
They're gonna mark it.
No, it's y'all.
We have to mark it. Well, okay.
Let everybody look at it.
Oh, and,
So,
We'll
oh,
mark it on the way
right,
back
okay.
around.
mark
Right.
because he didn't mark it.
Oh,
Second.
got it.
So you want us to fill out the
Yeah, we'll
first
tally it on
sheet?
the way
To
back around.
tally out which votes were cast on that ballot or not cast.
Okay.
See if it's an undervote.
Okay, do you want us to mark this one?
Yes.
Mark the undervote.
Yes. And the
Yeah, and the other. This would be probably a little more complicated if it was another election.
Count to one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mhm.
It's only one-handed.
Yeah.
Each one of you will mark it,
Well, I have your,
right?
Just needs to be marked once.
Okay.
it takes 2 to make one.
Yeah, again,
You can't have it.
again, it seems silly and really simple, but we document every single thing we do, so that's
Do you-
what's happening here.
Do you need us to sign this?
No.
Okay.
This is just usually what the tally sheets do. If
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Whitney. So the manual edits have been applied after a fashion, just by rerunning the day.
Yes, yes.
So I believe we move on to audits.
We do. So now each person in charge of each voting method will present the audit. So Justin will begin with provisionals, and then he'll show the absentees. And provisionals will be very fresh in your head from yesterday, so that one will be really simple. And absentee we've been doing along the way, so but we'll show everything anyway.
Good morning, Mr. Tate.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, board members.
Can't hear you yet.
Not yet.
Yes, I can.
Loud and
I'm back. As Director Duncan said, we have already done the bulk of this yesterday. This is just a recount, pardon the pun, of what we did yesterday. And first, provisional ballots. There were only a total of 9. Only 1 disapproved, and that was because they had registered after the deadline. The other 8 were approved and we've got a beautiful little pie chart for the board to take a look at. The sheets beneath it are merely the audit that we looked at yesterday. So there is nothing any more complicated to that. And we have the 0 tapes to go along with it, and they match. So we're very glad to have that. So that's provisionals. Easy breezy. We're done. Moving on to absentee. The final report. This final sheet for your evaluation is the corrections that were made during the course. As we had 1 challenge. We just conducted it. That was removed numerically from the April 16th meeting. So we've got that in an account. Other than that, we had a total of 137 absentee ballots during this election. And may I say, not one single ballot went uncured. So everyone who voted, their ballot count. So we don't have anything outstanding in that regard. Other than that, the election went fairly smoothly, at least on the absentee and provisional side. So with that said, that's me.
Thank you, Mr. Tate.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping make things go so smoothly. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Tate about the provisionals or absentees?
On to early voting. We had 262 ballots go through the DS200, and we had 262 applications. So no discrepancies, 1-to-1.
I
It's
love it
on
when
this,
that happens.
if you all want to see, it's on this sheet right here for the daily breakdown
Thank
of
you.
early voting.
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Whitney? Just remind everyone that these are ours to review. All righty. Thank you. The next one is the Election Day audit. And it looks like Ms. Bailey.
Yes.
Good morning, Bria.
Good morning. We had 1,857 ballots cast and 1,857 authorization to vote forms. I'm going to hand out a spreadsheet. You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome. We did balance, but I want to point out one thing for precinct 33.2. The laptops for 33.2 were set to the wrong precinct. So when 2 voters came in to vote, it made them appear to be out of precinct. Those 2 voters were voted provisionally, but they really should have voted normally. We took those 2 provisional ballots and counted them here. So I rescanned the entire precinct with the addition of those 2 ballots. And that's all I have for Election Day.
So in terms of those laptops being set to the wrong precinct, what's our procedure for the setup as we go into Election Day so that we don't see this in the fall?
Well, mistakes can happen.
Oh, don't we know?
But we do have multiple people that look at the precinct. The issue comes from the .2s and .3s. 33.2 was mixed up with 33.3. So it's a common mistake, but we can fix it easily.
Okay.
Just need to be more diligent.
Yeah,
next time.
yeah, a little more attentive on the front end.
Did
Is this-
the chief judge find it?
Yeah,
What,
that's-
how
They did, yes.
Okay, good.
And they noticed it because of this reason. Two voters coming in and both of
Wasn't
them
working.
showing up
Right.
out of precinct.
Right.
Good.
When everybody knew that they were in precinct.
Yes.
So they called the main office and got it corrected?
Yes.
Okay.
And they could have processed it differently at the precinct, so we did not get those provisional ballots, but they didn't. We fixed it on our end.
What could they have done?
They could have filled out the authorization to vote form by hand with the voters' information.
Right.
And once the laptops were switched to the correct precinct, voted those two people and put the two ballots through the DS-200.
I'm just curious, just so I understand, and I won't go and take long on this, but two voters come in, they know they're supposed to be in one precinct. The judges pull their names up on the laptop. The laptops indicate they belong to another precinct. The voters say, no, I always vote at this precinct. The judges call the office. The office figures out there's been this mistake. Is that what happened, basically, how that played out? I'm just curious how it was caught.
They caught it there
They
and
caught it
notified
there.
us that they had the wrong laptops.
I see.
Well, I'm assuming this is the first two votes of the day, right?
I believe so.
Okay, and it
Good
would-
question.
Yeah, because everyone would have been out of precinct.
So as far as training goes, the chief judges could be reminded to double check that laptop prior
Yes.
to opening the polls, right?
And they have a checklist, so it's just.
Yes.
goes
Okay.
on.
That's not generally something, though, that they would do,
Yeah, I don't recall that being the case, but
simply because you're given your,
you think you've
Your
got the right
laptops.
laptop, right?
And you also see 33.
On the top of
33 was
it.
correct. It's just the point 2 and point 3.
Yeah.
Where are 32.2 and 3?
They're in
Black
Black
Mountain.
Mountain.
Black Mountain, okay.
Two or three.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any more questions for Ms. Bailey about the Election Day audit?
And you probably already noticed, but it's on the back is the other part that you're used to seeing that has the breakdown of everything. And it shows 0 differences in all categories.
Do we know what the percentage was then of Republican voters that voted? Does that come out in any report?
It would be a difficult statistic because unaffiliated voters are entitled to participate
Correct. That's right.
in primaries of their choice.
Uh-huh. So they
And
chose the
If they
Republican.
and that's it's just a tough statistic. And so what we end up reporting is the percentage of registered voters in the county who participated, and that's
It
very
doesn't
low.
really help the parties then, particularly about identifying getting votes out or voters out or
What
anything.
might help the parties is after the State Board of Elections conducts the statewide canvass, the voter file information is going to be out there, and parties are able to access the records on an
Yeah,
individual by
voted.
individual basis and see what ballot unaffiliated voters opted for during the primary, and then they can proceed how they wish after that. North Carolina does a heck of a good job of making data available to the general public, so that they do this kind of data mining stuff.
Yeah, that's correct. Once we apply voter history after the election is certified, then that data will be available.
All right, so I know that we are all invited to review these materials before we proceed with the certification. I know
I have one more question, just out of curiosity.
Ms. Brain.
Since they were switched, did they swap those computers that day? Because the other precinct would also have an issue that maybe they had no voters.
I called the other precinct and they had the correct laptops. So I think during setup, The wrong precinct was selected on the laptops.
And so those laptops just needed the
So
correct
two
precinct, so they
two-
didn't.
Two laptops were set for the same precinct?
Yes.
like code.
Wasn't a switcheroo.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, labeled wrong.
And the problem is basically just how it was labeled. When you start adding the digit, the tenths, then you know, it's not apparent until you actually try to vote somebody. Would that be real hard to fix?
So the laptops went through 4 different groups of people before the chief judges finally caught it. The .2s and .3s always seem to be an issue. Not always with laptops, with ballots too. But all we can do is be very thorough.
Could you stamp the precinct number on the chief judges or something?
I'm sure they would love that.
Is there anything particular that you all would recommend that we look at just for familiarity's sake? You've been through it. What do you suggest?
So I think that the easiest thing to do, so basically it's sort of like the sample audit. So we have the results that are from the audits that we have been doing along the way. So those are presented there along with the reports. And so you can do things like check that the reports match the audits. You can pick a tape at random and make sure that it matches. Those sort of things are ways to help you feel confident that everything matches up.
But we're matching to the audit. That's the basic idea.
Yep, and what you've seen along the way in all of our board meetings, which we've tried to summarize for you.
How about it?
Of course, the one I would pick.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, maybe.
This
is the rescan.
Two voted, okay. 9 altogether.
Four, so what would be that last one?
Yeah.
Four. The last number is 17. That's this closing.
So so 5 and 9 is not 17.
Now, because we have more voters after.
Correct, so we have 2 more voters than that, so, when we look at the tape, we should see, this is the 0 tape, so we'll just start out with 0. And we'll move back to the end of the day, 17. And then to look at the actual, who voted where, I guess you could pull that too.
Correct.
Yeah, races. And they would be, if you wanted to know what team
This is,
came from here.
did you present there?
Yeah, but as far as the races go, so if like this one, out of 17 votes, this one got 14.
This is just a total.
All right. Bree, you have a minute? Yes. So if we wanted to go dig a little deeper, like this, we're at, what, 17 is the total, that's fine, but how do we see the actual votes for each part, the members of the candidates? Can we see somewhere where this precinct had 14 votes for this candidate? Does that show us?
Yes, in these reports.
In over there, yes, okay. So we could look at that for precinct number 50.1. then we could see that 14. So total is 15, so there was early voting, and so about 14 for the day, which is what this tape is. Okay. Okay, thank you. You good?
I'm extremely good.
Okay.
Want to do another one? Pick it, please.
Okay.
Put one that's got a high number, because they're doing the other book.
Yeah. It's probably gonna be hang on here. I think that's 61. Yeah, that's
61?
16. Should we look at the zero tape? There's,
61 one?
yeah.
the zero tape, there's the zero tape, okay? This was the
Did everybody sign it?
question. Yes, from that two, which is what we have to have.
Two.
The one should be from each party. Do we know that? How do we know that? We don't, do we? We'd have to know who those people were. Okay. All right, so we assume that one.
That helps itself. We are making an assumption.
It
We
might
are
be
making
in
an assumption.
here.
It might be,
Oh.
should be in the journal.
Good point. Okay,
61 one.
61.
Same signatures.
Let's see, I thought there was a place for,
The party.
yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, so did, for instance, did this zero tape have,
Looks like the chief judge did not sign, but the two party judges did.
that's fine.
That's what we want to know.
Mhm. Yeah, okay.
What's your numbers?
And then the numbers are,
Sign that one.
they're both signed.
The chief judge did sign, it's just back up under.
Oh, it is under there, good, okay. So we have, this is number to vote for, we're supposed to have 50 altogether. So
No, that
here's
was
our-
50 ballots.
Well, see, 41, right, well, so we had 41 then, they must have had another 9 before here. So there should be no, there should be 50 on a total tape somewhere. Yep. Okay.
On election day,
Next.
means that early voting and absentee.
So then 50 should show up. This looks like zero tape, here we go. There's 50. And again, if we wanted to go just to sort of happenstance and look at one of the races. Do that. And looking at. And races. Yeah, okay, let's do government then. 34
Yep.
and 15?
Yep.
Okay, so that number, those numbers are the same as the.
And you had an undervote?
And they had one undervote. Mm-hmm.
So down here under auditor, we had 2 undervotes.
Yes.
Which means what?
Well, this is the second race. It's
Oh,
23 and
that other race.
25.
Yeah.
We've got 23 and 25 and 2 undervotes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do one.
Okay,
Number 63-1.
it's over in this book here.
Are you done with this book?
We can pick one on the lower.
Here,
the lower
you want
number.
10-1?
God, I'm trying to get this zero tape back right now. Okay, where the precinct number is on the top. Let me see. Can you find our precinct number?
Do your signatures.
This was yours, huh?
Chief Judge Brown.
Excuse me, we're gonna go to this
Also-
one.
Also,
Okay, so 10.
which one is that?
10.1.
If there's ever a rubber band embargo, we will be.
Well, 10.1's not gonna give you much.
That was the idea. Does maybe nobody voted.
Nobody voted.
Well, that's an easy one.
If you want a big one, this is a big one.
44.
This was big and then
We got a
everybody
big one, we wanted
voted.
to find a little one, but nobody voted.
Well, these are because
This
they're
is
all
61.
combined.
This is, yeah, this is a bigger one.
That makes it, we hit rubber band.
No, I took the rubber band off and I didn't keep looking. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, here we go. Good enough. 11-1.
44 one.
I got it right here.
Okay,
Oh, you got it, okay.
how many votes altogether?
Well, that
Or
was
let's
one.
zero take first.
Hang on, I'm looking for
Doing double duty here.
it. This says 0.
Number zero.
0 votes?
Mhm.
No, it's
He's
not
got the
fine.
big one here.
Here's 12-1.
Let's try that.
Oh, here we go.
Six.
Nice
There were
little bitty
10.
one. Let's try it.
12-1, there
All right,
were
so had
6,
four,
yes.
2, and then, four,
Yeah,
and then
total
we had 2
89.
more, so they had 6 altogether. 6
16,
division of ballot.
73, 36,
Okay, hang on.
50,
Here is your.
300 votes.
Okay.
Got it. Add one, check the 6. Oh, I got the book over there.
0, 2.
We'll do one more in this stack.
No, actually, that should be in this book.
Just disassemble it.
44.1.
Okay, your signatures.
Yep.
On the back.
This is the zeros.
Maybe it's lower.
Okay.
Well, that's interesting. Why is that sitting in
We'll
there?
put it in with the others.
Let's look at.
There it is.
Does this make you nervous when we start fumbling around with all this stuff like we're gonna get?
It was all in perfect order.
Yeah, I bet. No. We
We-
did not guess.
We know the risks and challenges.
We know the risk.
Calculation of OCD.
44.1 checks out.
Okay, here you go.
All right, Miss Green, do you have the big thing?
Oh, that's which one?
This is,
Oh, yeah, that one. It was at the top of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick one from, another one from the stack. Let's see.
how about Clark?
Clark's got
48.
3, Bolt's got 2,
And there was a.
1 undervote.
Yes.
That total 6.
Yep.
So only 6 and 6.
Well, total 5, because they don't count the other vote.
Well,
Okay, yeah.
it's on there.
There's a ballot, it represents a ballot cast.
Right.
So,
So this report, it's only going to show those that snow too,
Right.
but it does show the other votes.
Exactly. So it took us.
all right, girls.
Total here, total there.
Mm-hmm.
They all signed off.
I've had enough. I've had all the fun I could.
Which one is this one?
48.1.
Check your
Yeah,
signatures.
Go where?
Well, you know, it was kind of loose.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put it like that.
Right.
They all checked out.
But this, on the other hand, I pulled off the bottom. of the
This
stack.
tape, they don't have to be in any particular order, so.
Right.
Let me take a look at that.
And that's statistics.
Which one was that?
48.1.
48.
We had several precincts that were bunched, and it took us a minute to figure that out. So I think we got the right ones bunched again,
Okay.
but I'm not clear about 61 more.
52 total.
It was,
You
yeah.
think it was
I
loose,
don't-
but I'm not sure.
There wasn't a rubber
Right.
band
Yeah,
around it.
looks
Okay.
good.
Good.
Good too.
It may be by, need to be by itself.
Now we gotta put all this stuff back together.
We didn't tear it apart that much.
Not too bad.
Well, everything's there. I'm not, and it was
there's-
just,
And there are people that voted in that one. Some of them that were bunched didn't have it.
This was,
Votes.
this was in one of the books.
there's so many tapes.
Hey, so, was
All right, we didn't do too much damage on it then.
this ours to keep?
Yes, you can keep it.
Thank you, colleagues, for reviewing the materials that have been presented to us by staff. Did anyone have any questions or comments about this? I did want to thank Mr. Whitney, Mr. Tate, Ms. Bailey for walking us through this. Really appreciate that everything balanced so well.
Especially with problems.
Keep up the good work. All right. Our work is almost done. I would be thrilled to entertain a motion to certify the second primary election of 2024 for Buncombe County, North Carolina. Mr. Cito, thank you. The motion before the board is to certify the second primary conducted on May 14th of this year. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. The election is certified, and well done, staff. So now we just have to do a little more paperwork. We are, after all, a government agency.
So Bree is going to hand around the final abstracts. I think they're in triplicate. They are. And so all of you will need to sign, and then I will notarize. Then all of the abstract and the reports will go to, one stays with us, one goes to the state board, and one goes to the clerk of court. To the clerk of court. And we will include that memo that went around yesterday with those as directed by the state board.
All right, thank you, audience, for sticking with us through this process. Mr. Black, did you have a question?
Biggest one.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the board said at a meeting that they were going to keep track of how many people provided IDs, how many people used exception forms. Do you have this one?
Where?
We can't hold a report.
Yes, we can pull a report. We don't have it though.
Okay, do we want signatures just on this page or on the results page?
Just on the cover sheet, yes, the abstract.
Thank you, Mr. Black. We will get that statistic and make it available. Good question.
Would you repeat that, please? I didn't hear the question.
Mr. Black was wondering, in how many instances was a photo ID exception form used
Oh, that's good.
in the second primary? Mr. Black, did we provide that data for the first primary?
The lieutenant governor.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
And this is,
Is that just votes?
this is total votes cast. Yeah. 22, 64.
Because it was the
The
first
to-
time
Is that total
that they
ballots?
keep track of
Ballots, I
things
guess.
differently.
Yeah,
between
ballots
absentee and
cast.
election day,
Mm.
and so
And
I'm
it
not
could be
sure
2 votes on
if
each
there
ballot,
was
or
a
could be
single
just one,
report
so.
that
Yeah.
could be pulled.
And I guess this means the
But we'll-
blank, just blank ballots. Blank ballots cast.
Happens.
Yeah. I guess.
If somebody pulls a ballot and walks off, you've got to run it through the machine, so it can audit
Thank you.
something's there. So we sign on.
Anyone else have any questions, comments? Thank you for being the eyes of the community on our work.
Pass it down.
Here, no.
It is in fact the same report.
Do we need to sign off on the results?
No,
Just the cover sheet,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, this goes with this. I signed the rest of it.
No reason not to be
I mean, it's
consistent.
gonna be consistent. This one goes this way.
That's all of them.
All right. Very good. Does anyone have any more business to come before the board today? Any questions, comments? Our next meeting date is Tuesday, July 9th, 3:30 PM in this room. Y'all have the month of June off.
What time?
But 3:30, it'll be 3:30 right here. But when we reconvene in July, we are going to be diving right into the general election. In fact, candidate filing will continue for some local races even before we meet again, and it will persist through the month of July. 5 board members and staff will attend statewide training the first few days of August, and we will get the latest and greatest from the Oracle, come back and really crank things up for the election.
I asked about their programming corrections.
Yeah. Well, the different things that we have been talking about here, such as that little bug with that one computer, the little problem we had with manual edits not being able to be applied, we get to make sure when we go to this statewide training that everybody has been addressing this and that everything's going to be ready to go for us in the fall. Looking forward to that. Mr. Elam.
Size with the hidden flaw.
Excuse me? What?
Said Murphy's Law size with the hidden flaw.
Yeah, it does. And I know that anytime I hear that there is a piece that is relying on the state election information management system, I am reminded that we would still like to see the state board be able to undertake an overhaul of that system so that when changes are made, appropriate responses can be identified and applied in an efficient and effective fashion. One of these days, we will get a new SEAMS, I hope and pray. If there is no more business coming before the board today, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn.
Wow, that took less than an hour.